Dean, for that amazing performance and inspiring speech.
Değerli konuşmaları ve mükemmel şovları için Güngör Doğan'a çok teşekkür ederiz.
Now, it's time for our second speaker. We are especially proud to invite our second speaker, Cemal Özdemir, a student from our school community, who had won many awards for her speeches.
Şimdi sırada ikinci konuşmacımız var. Okulumuz öğrencilerinden konuşmaları sayesinde birçok ödül kazanmış Cemal Özdemir'i sahneye davet ediyoruz.
Throughout the years, we've been taught that we're being leaded by our brain. Our hormones, past life traumas, medications. Long story short, we've always think that we're slaves. We're enslaved by our brains. But what if I told you that you can actually change it? You can actually break the chains you think that they control you. My name is Cemal Özdemir, and welcome to our TedX event. So today, I'm going to be talking about neuroplasticity. So to understand the concept, we should first look at two important things. One is our brain, of course. So our brain, an amazing organ, averagely 1.3 to 1.4 kilograms, and can create a current to light a little light bulb. So, I think generally all know that brain has some functions. And those functions are especially specialized in some points. We know that we have a right hemisphere and a left hemisphere. So if I were to start with the right hemisphere, what you see here, we usually know that it's responsible for time management, logical thinking, and language skills. Where our left hemisphere is most responsible for art, creative thinking, and imagination. So I'm going to ask a question at this point. What do you think would happen if I remove half of your brain? Let's say you no longer have your left hemisphere, which is most responsible for all the things you see here. Would you be able to live again? Or would you be able to use your imagination, to draw, to play the piano again? Or would you just be like a zombie? Well, the answer is actually nothing would change. And this is a surgical process named hemispherectomy, which is a partial or complete removal of a brain hemisphere. But is it something so interesting here? There is a lot of people who live without their half of their brains. They're thinking, they're walking, drawing pictures, maybe speaking a few more languages than we all do. And this shows us that our brain breaks the rules that we always thought it was doing. Let me show you how it really looks like on a real human brain. So this is your normal view. We all have our two hemispheres in our brains, but the thing you see here is a person with hemispherectomy operation. This place is completely blank. You don't have your brain here. So, how is this possible? How you can go on your life normally when you don't have half of it? Well, the answer lies in neuroplasticity. But to answer it, to understand it completely, we need to go a little bit deeper on plasticity as well. So, how your brain works is really basic, actually. It has neurons. Maybe some of you are familiar with the concept. You see two neurons here, one coming from up and the other one's from down. And when they merge, let's say, we have a thing named synaptic connection. To make it easier to understand, you can take this as plugs. So when you plug them, here you see you're letting the electric to go down all the wires and you're letting the information to be transferred. And your brain, as you may guess, has billions and billions of these. So the thing you see here is actually a really small part of your brain, like in 1 centimeter cubes of a mouse's brain, not even a human's. So we know that you can live without half of your brain. And we know that actually the transformation in your brain is just about the signals. So what do you think that neuroplasticity is? When we merge them together, we have a really important concept. Your brain learns and adapts itself to what is new. So let's take this pad, this yellow one you see here, as your language skills. We all speak Turkish, and most of us at least can speak English to the level. And this pad, this yellow pad, becomes activated every time you talk a language, you speak a language, doesn't matter. Now I'm speaking English, and a lot of pads in my brain is now activated. To make it easier, I just showed it with a yellow line. Let's think that maybe I got a headshot, or maybe there's an injury happening on my brain and completely make this place useless. I no longer have this yellow pad. It's not working. But I'm speaking. How is this be possible? And this is exactly what neuroplasticity is. Your brain knows that it has to work under every condition because this is what makes living. So it makes something amazing. It starts to create a new path. So it tries to put the signals to another side of your brain, usually somewhere closer to the damaged area. And then, as the damaged area becomes useless, the other paths become stronger. So you are being rewired your brain. And this is possible. This is possible when you do it even intentionally. So it's possible to say your brain how it's going to work. And that is what exactly neuroplasticity is. Our brains are plastic, as scientists says, because we are what we expose daily. If we're always consuming good materials like books, movies, lessons, piano skills, doesn't matter what, your brain will carve paths even deeper. So this blue will get more and more and more deeper. It'll be easier. It'll turn into a habit. A habit is a strong action that you continuously repeat, so it becomes really hard to change. It becomes like nearly carved into a marble. And scientists ask another question. What would happen if I try to take the signal that usually goes to the red area of the brain to the blue one? What happens if I change the place of the signals? Well, the answer was shocking. Nothing changed. So if the signal makes you talk, let's say, speaking a language like English, it doesn't matter where it goes. As long as you make signals work, everything was on the way that they should be. So we start to realize actually how strong we are, but we miss the point. Every strong thing becomes with its dangers, and this is dangerous as well. Your brain shaping itself every second, even though you recognize or not. Now you're listening to me, and your neurons are forming new lines. They're rewiring themselves. You're learning something new, and I think something did. So your brain tries to have a new idea. But what if we focus on bad things, like daily life, violence, attacks, wars, school shootings? Unfortunately, we always see bad contents on media, news, books, movies, even our daily life conversations. And your brain rewires according to them too, because it doesn't know which is true and which is not. And actually, you see here a real footage of what's going on in your brain. So this is your neurons before training anything or exposed to anything. Let's say this is your neurons before playing piano. As you all know, playing piano is requires a lot of practice, as I know myself as well. But day by day, the more hours you spend on piano, you're getting better because there's actually a physical change in your mind. It's not something that you can observe. There are way more branches when you compare those two pictures. And this comes as well to emotion. Before getting into the emotion part, what we need to understand from here is your brain always has enough dots, enough connections, but we just don't use them. When they're activated, they can become a weapon that can be used for good or evil. Now keep those in mind, because I'm talking about a little different thing, which is the emotion recognition. This is a search made in America, and scientists wanted to understand how do we understand emotions, or how much can we recognize them. You see that the sadness and happiness has pretty high rates when you compare it with compassion to that topic. Why compassion isn't even half of any of these? Why can't we recognize it? Compassion is a feeling for the other, and it's really important if you want to make this life a better place, if you want to reduce the violence, if we want to make our lives brighter, we should understand other people and take action. But I'm putting taking action aside. We're not even able to understand if the person is feeling compassionate or not. Is something wrong here? We understand happiness and sadness way more than compassion because we always see their examples. They're not so complex feelings, so every time I'm smiling right now, some of you are smiling at me as well, and some of you are sad for some reason. We always have data outside about these feelings. But research shows that we don't have any about compassion. But this doesn't have to stay like that. And now we're going to unwrap our information about neuroplasticity. We can change it, and the question is, how? We should learn how to be more compassionate people because the world needs us. If you're not going to change this world, it won't change it anyway. And you're holding the keys to change it, to break the chains. So, I told you a lot of things about neuroplasticity. But the thing is, how am I going to do this? How am I going to rewire my brain? Well, first of all, you need to figure out how do you react. Under any circumstances, maybe we have rage issues you want to overcome. Neuroplasticity can again help because you can rewire your brain while being aware of what you're doing. So, first of all, this is the hardest step. Try to get aware of what you're doing. When you see a person suffering, do you feel a little compassion or maybe a little pain in your heart, or do you just feel completely normal, nothing changed at all? Try to understand this. And then second, try to control that feeling. You know what's true and what's not. You know what to do and what not to do. So try to canalize yourself in a better way. And lastly, try to let it flow. Changes won't happen in an instant, and unfortunately you won't be able to see your neurons rewiring themselves. But always know that there's something happening, in a good way or in a bad way. What we need to do is fight against the bad ways and try to carve deeper good ways for all of us. Because neuroplasticity is showing that we are being leaded every single second. We all have our social media accounts, and in social media we always being led by algorithms. Algorithms shows us what's going on around the world, and they're always violence, which fades our compassion inside away. We're step by step becoming more robotic. This kills humanity, but it is possible. It is possible to change it in just the opposite way. And the thing I wanted to recognize at this point is you can shape it. You can shape how you feel, you can shape how you think, how you react. It's just in your hands. Life is never easy and it won't be, but your brain's control is just in your hands, not any others. And don't let it be in any other's hands because you will never know how to use it. So take control and try to understand the process. You all have this. And please, go and try today. You will see the change because this happens every day, just you don't recognize. So, thank you for listening to me.
Şimdi sahneye plaketini takdim etmek üzere Fatma Nur Soruç'u davet ediyoruz. Thank you, Cemre, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Düşüncelerini bizlerle paylaştığın için teşekkürler Cemre.
We will now take a 20 minutes break for refreshment and informal conversations. Please enjoy the break.
Şimdi 20 dakikalık bir ikram ve sohbet arası veriyoruz. Lütfen keyifli çıkın.